The way you're setting your goals is the reason why you can't achieve any of them, right? And that goes for 2026, that goes for 2025. If you think back in the goals you set for this year, the goals you set for last year, if you didn't hit them, there's a very specific reason why. And I want to start this off by telling a quick story of me last year in 2025, because there were several goals that I didn't hit, and it really bummed me out. Okay, now the specific goal I'm talking about is rewind this back to December 31st of 2024, January 1st of 2025. I set out on a goal to make a specific number before my birthday, right? And if you don't know, my birthday is in May, it's in mid-May. I set out on a goal to hit a specific number, a specific income number in a single month before my birthday, right? It was a bit ambitious, but I mean, that's the type of person I am, so that's what I'm always going to do. But it was a bit ambitious, but long story short, I didn't hit that goal. I didn't end up getting that specific income number before my birthday, and it ended up triggering some sort of, I don't want to say sadness, but some sort of anger, it made me feel like I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. It made me feel like I wasn't making progress. It made me feel like I was taking steps backwards instead of forwards, which is a very, very, very important thing that you have to be cautious of, right? And the only reason I didn't hit that goal, it's honestly, I don't even think it was because I set it too early. I was being too ambitious. I set a goal that was too high or too soon or anything like that. I think it was specifically for one reason, and it's because I was doing it wrong. I was setting the goal the wrong way. So I'm sure most of you out there, I did this, most people do this. I'm actually gonna grab a piece of paper real quick. Most of you out there, when setting your goals, you'll just take a whiteboard, take a piece of paper, take a Google Doc, take a Notion doc, whatever it may be, and you'll just write goals, right? You'll write like, I wanna make 100K a month this year. I wanna scale my agency to 50K a month this year. I want to sign this client. I want to sign that client. I want to do this specific revenue number for a client. I want to launch this client and do this, which inherently, obviously, that's how you set a goal, but you're doing it completely wrong. Okay, you're not just going to sit here and write out, like, writing sucks, by the way. Don't, that's why I dropped out of school. But most of you will sit there and just write it down. You'll get this goal. You'll put it somewhere. You might even have on a whiteboard like I did next to your setup, so you can hopefully just look at it every day and read it, and, you know, it'll manifest itself and come into imagination, which is kind of what people assume you're supposed to do. It's what I assumed you were supposed to do, but you're doing it completely wrong if you do that, and you might as well say bye to your goals. Not all of them. Some of them you will hit, but most of them you won't, because you're doing it completely wrong. And when you don't hit them, you're just going to be sad. You're just going to be like, oh, why didn't I get this goal? Like, what happened? Like, am I not good enough? Am I just like incompetent? Am I this? Am I that? You're going to start doubting yourself. You're truly going to start doubting yourself the same way I did. And, you know, when you doubt yourself, you're going to start losing trust in yourself, and you're going to start performing worse. You're going to start not getting as good results as you should. You might be asking, like, well, Brady, how the fuck do I fucking set a goal then? Like, how do I, if I'm not supposed to write it down, if I'm not supposed to keep it in my vision every day, like, what am I supposed to do? Which is why you clicked on this video. So I want to preface this with a quick analogy. Think of this. You want to go to a store that's maybe 20 minutes away, but you don't know how to get there, right? Obviously, the first thing you do, you type in the address, type in the store, whatever it may be. You type it in on Google Maps, and it pops up all these directions, right? That's the first thing you do. You're not going to say, okay, I want to go to the store, and then you're just going to start driving. Like, you're not just going to start driving. The first thing you're going to do is say, okay, how do I get there, right? You're going to type it in on Google Maps. It's going to pop up these directions, and you're going to follow that set of directions, and then it will get you to the destination. The same thing should go for a goal. You shouldn't just set a goal and then just go. The same way you shouldn't set a destination on Google Maps or something, or just set a destination in your mind, say, hey, I want to go to the store, and then just start driving. Like, nobody does that. Instead, what do? You get the destination. Like I said, you type it on Google Maps, it pops up actionable steps to get to that destination, and then you start driving, and then you get there, which is exactly how to set a goal, right? It's the same exact way. So what you're gonna do, let's say your goal is to get a client, your goal is to scale your agency to 100K a month. Let's just do that. 100K a month. Excuse the handwriting. You're not even gonna be able to see that. I need a whiteboard, but I don't freaking have one right now. I need to get one. Well, let's say 100K a month. That's your goal. Like I said, you're not just gonna write that, stick it on your wall, and look at it every day and hope it happens. What you're gonna do instead, you have the goal of 100K a month as an agency. So what you do is you write how. You write how you're gonna get there. You write the steps to get there. You don't just set a goal and say, okay, I'm gonna get that. You're gonna write the goal, and you're gonna say, okay, what are the actionable steps to get that goal. Actionable steps to get to 100K a month as an agency. Maybe it's getting certain clients. Maybe it's hiring certain team members around you so you can focus on high leverage tasks within your business. Maybe it's scaling current clients that you have. Maybe it's joining this program or learning this thing from this certain person so you can get the specific results, so you can get a piece of information that you didn't previously know. I know that was a thing for me at one point. I wanted a specific goal. I had a specific goal in mind, and I needed a specific piece of information that I didn't really understand, and I needed to piece it all together. So I joined a program. I paid $5,000 to join a program for one thing. I paid $5,000 for one specific piece of information so I could piece it all together, and I ended up hitting that goal, right? Because I had the actionable steps. So back to it. You're writing down how for 100K a month as an agency. Literally whatever it may be, write those down. With my goals for 2026, I have all my goals on a Notion document, but I didn't just set the goal, I wrote down how. Okay, I wrote down actionable steps to actually get that goal. But it's not just that, it doesn't just end there, right? Most of you may know this. You may have heard this before. You may have had people say, okay, you don't just set a goal, you set a goal and then you write steps to get there. But it doesn't end there. It doesn't just end there. You have to understand the concept, right? You can't do a concept without fully understanding it, because then it's not going to work. Okay, but what you have to understand is that it's not just about setting a goal and then setting the actionable steps. What it's really about is, okay, you set a goal, you write all the actionable steps. The thing you have to literally grasp and fully understand and fully wrap your head around is the fact of, when you set a goal, you're supposed to write the actionable steps. But, and this is where the kicker is, the goal now becomes the actionable steps and not the goal itself. I'm going to repeat that. The goal now becomes the actionable steps and not the goal itself. What does that mean? I was talking to my team about the same thing today. And this is actually why I'm making the video, because it came up in a conversation. And I told my team that, right? We have specific goals for February, okay? And I told them our goal can't just be the goal. Our goal is the actionable steps to get that goal, right? So when you set a goal, not only do you write the actionable steps, not only do you write the how, but you have to set it in your mind that your goal is now those actionable steps, not the goal itself, right? Because if your goal is completing the actionable steps, then the actual goal would just be a byproduct of your real goal. So as you're going about your 2026, as you're going about writing all this stuff, as you're going about writing your goals, maybe you have to rewrite some of your goals. Maybe you haven't even set goals at all. Right? You should always have goals. It's not just having goals, it's about having actionable steps to get those goals, right? It's about having daily action items to get better, to get that 1% closer to that goal. And again, what you have to wrap your head around is the fact that when you set actionable steps for a goal, your goal now becomes the actionable steps and not the goal itself, right? Now, obviously the goal itself is still the goal, but what you have to focus on is making the actionable steps your goal day in and day out. You have to achieve these actionable steps day in and day out to achieve that goal. That's something that helped me personally achieve a lot of goals in 2025 and already achieve a lot of goals in 2026. But it's also, when I didn't do it, it's what caused me to not hit my goals last year. And then I ended up being bummed out and like feeling like, okay, am I incompetent? Like, what's going on here? So just make sure to fully understand that concept, even if you have to rewind this video, even if you have to shoot me a DM and ask me a question, even if you have to join the free community down below and ask a question. Now, just playing. Point is, do what you can to fully grasp this concept. Even if you have to go back on the goals that you already had, redo them, set the actionable steps, and then make the actionable steps your goal, because then the actual goal, the North Star, the end product, will become a byproduct of those actionable steps. I hope that helped. I hope you understand this. Like I said, rewind if you have to. Free community down below. We're dropping sauce in there daily like this, not only for mindset shit, but also for agency stuff. We're gonna start hosting some free group calls soon. I got a lot of really cool SOPs and video program stuff on the way. My Instagram is also down below. See y'all soon.